Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit! And so this is a part of the problem, that people like myself are invoking the creator-creature distinction, whereas unbelievers are thinking of God in a non-creator-creature distinction.
You see, Shay, when somebody says that you can't be neutral about God because he's transcendent and ultimate, he's in this special category where you can't be neutral about him. They're just saying that. And I'll give you an example of what was said the other day. Someone brought up, when this very topic was being discussed, they said something about, it wasn't exactly the same exact thing, but they brought up OJ, and they said, well, couldn't you say the same thing about OJ? And the response from Darth was, but OJ is not ultimate. Well, Jesus didn't win a Heisman Trophy either. Just pointing out some sort of way that they're different doesn't establish that they're in some sort of category, which makes it so that you can't be neutral. And that's what they have yet to do.
That was absolutely convoluted. Surely you couldn't be serious.
I'm serious. You're free to prove me wrong.
Yeah, it made no sense. It's not a matter of proving you wrong, because it was just a rhetoric strung together. When we're talking about God as ultimate, we're not defining God into existence. We're just simply saying, when we use the word God, this is how it's defined. Now, either you accept the definition of God or you don't.
Maybe you didn't understand what.
If we don't agree on a minimalist definition of God, then we're talking past each other.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about a minimalist definition of God, by the way, I dare say that you're very close to, if not invoking pluralism, because I don't think.
I didn't hear you. Invoking what?
Pluralism. What you would call pluralism.
No.
Because, see, I was under the impression, perhaps I'm wrong, Darth, that you thought that the Christian God had many necessary properties that were all necessary. Is that not the case?
Yeah, you're confusing when I talk about the Christian God as the one true God versus when I'm talking to an atheist. They just don't reject the Christian God. They reject any kind of definition of God.
I didn't hear an answer to the question.
Pluralism is trying to argue against another worldview by saying another worldview, okay, is a potential actual. I'm not committing pluralism. And either you're just shamelessly being deceptive, or you really are clueless.
I'll tell you why I think that you are. And here's why. So when you approach an atheist and you say, I'm giving the minimalist definition for God, right? I take the minimalist definition to mean that you are going to be presenting only the necessary qualities of God. However,
no, that's not what I'm doing.
Oh, really? What do you mean by minimalist then?
I mean a bare minimum of a definition that a person will accept as a working term.
Right.
It doesn't necessitate, okay, the fact that I am not invoking other characteristics does not mean that they're necessarily excluded. I'm simply dealing with their belief system. Okay, they disbelieve in all gods. Okay, not just the Christian God.
You're saying to them, I'm using the minimalist definition for God, but you don't actually think that's the minimalist definition.
That's the base properties of the God of the Bible.
No, it's not, because
yes, it is.
do you not think that necessarily it is the case that God is, amongst other things, but not exclusive to, omnibenevolent, omniscient,
Right. But those
omnipotent,
things, of
always
course,
truth. I'm
yes.
not finished. I'm not quite finished.
Yeah.
Always truth revealing, triune. Don't
Yeah.
you think it's necessarily the case that God is all those things? Don't you think that?
Absolutely.
So when you say I'm presenting the minimalist definition, you're leaving out necessary properties. So
No, I'm not.
how
You
on
see,
earth is that minimalist?
what you're doing here is more atheist deception here. I'm
Just address
taking a
the argument.
person, what I'm not, I'm talking about their conception of what God would be.
No, you
Okay.
just affirmed that you were
Okay.
presenting the
Tom,
minimalist
listen to me.
definition of the Christian
This
God.
is sophistry of the highest order.
Then it should
Okay.
be no problem to sort things out.
Okay, I'm trying to sort it out, but this is sophistry because it's going nowhere. The
So
fact of the matter is, when they tell me that they do not believe in God, it means all gods. Okay, now it would be any God concept. All right, so I simply point out is what is your rationale that no God
so
exists?
you're presenting a
Okay,
God concept that you don't believe is minimalist. That's pluralism by your lights.
Of course he
no,
does. Of course
no.
he does.
No, he
The
doesn't, because
God,
he
no.
thinks
Listen
Yes,
again.
he does.
Why do you keep on conflating what I believe when I'm talking about an atheist with what they believe?
you just said it right now. You think the minimalist definition of the Christian God is that
So bad.
I'm
eternal,
talking about
infinite.
from their perspective. What is the basic idea of God that they will find
Okay,
acceptable?
maybe you can clear this up then. What is the minimalist definition of the Christian
The
God?
only one that confuses you, dude.
Yeah,
There's nothing
I
to
know.
clear.
Yeah. This is. See. I would love to have an adult interaction with you, but this is just absurd of the highest order. Okay. Now, you said, okay, I've encountered you what 4 or 5 times. Okay, since you so-called manned up, but the previous times you were trolling. Okay,
He's
you
going
told
meta.
me. You told me. You
Darth,
told me. Please don't overtalk me.
Darth is going
You
meta.
told me. Would somebody please mute real Romulus, please? Would one of the mods red dot him? Thank you. Now, you told me that you are more than willing on many occasions, both in my presence and out, to defend atheism. Okay? Are you willing to do that right now?
I've already done one with the argument. Yeah, I presented
Okay.
you an argument.
Are you willing to defend atheism right now?
But I will. I make this commitment to you. I will defend atheism as I have done before. If you please, just give me the minimalist definition of the Christian God now.
The minimalist definition of the Christian God are all those attributes that he has given of himself in the New Testament.
Which are?
Okay. Well, first of all, I wouldn't say minimalist. Okay, I would say these
You
are
would,
the
though.
attributes.
That's the problem.
When I say minimalist, okay, I'm dealing with the atheists' ideas about God, and I'm trying to show them
necessary.
that all
So
I'm
you're-
saying is when I say minimalist definition, I'm talking about the barest possible definition, which would include but not exclude additional properties and attributes.
So
you are splitting hairs. Listen to me.
So you want to work with a definition
don't
that isn't your
overtalk me.
definition.
Don't overtalk me.
This is what
okay?
you call
Don't
pluralism.
overtalk me,
Great
Tom.
one.
Don't try to pull my chain and be smarmy, or you're going to be red dotted. Okay. Now, listen to me. You are conflating two issues, which is just sophistry on your part. I don't believe that you could possibly be this stupid. When I talk about a minimalist definition of God, I'm just simply saying to somebody, what is the bare definition that you will accept for God? Okay? Because when I talk with atheists, they're all over the map. So I'm getting them to agree with what is a basic definition of God that they will find acceptable that would apply to any God concepts whatsoever.
And
so
that
you're
concept
conflating,
that you're giving.
You are conflating my trying to get them to agree with a basic definition versus that I'm somehow denying all of the properties of the God of the Bible, which is ridiculous. Now, I've addressed this point several times already. Now,
Okay,
are you willing?
Yes,
to
I'm just.
defend
Yes, I will,
your
but I just want
atheism?
the answer. Please,
No,
just
I
give
already
me
gave you an
all.
answer. I've answered it several times. Are you willing now, right now?
Sure, fine. Let's
Good.
do it.
Explain to me your atheism.
Well, if you remember the argument that I gave you before, right? It entails that God doesn't exist. So
Hold on
there
a
you go.
second. I got to put in my other headset.
Tom, are you an atheist, sir?
No, I'm not. I'm an agnostic.
All right.
Tom, let me answer before Art
for more
continues.
content on your channel.
I like the cumulative
I'm
argument
back.
for God's existence because
Consul, please wait your turn. Okay, I'm back. So
Yeah,
so
I'm not
Tom,
an atheist. Yeah, I'm not an atheist. I'm an
Oh,
agnostic.
you're not? Then why have you previously been on record saying that you would defend atheism?
Yeah, I could. Well, I mean, I know what your definition of atheism is. So
So as an agnostic, you can defend in actuality that God doesn't exist?
yeah, I could argue that. I could also argue for
No. I
Christianity.
didn't ask you if you could argue it. I meant, can you actually defend it as true?
Yeah, he said he could.
Yeah,
He
under
said
your
he could.
definition, yeah, I could.
Okay. Well, then you're not an agnostic then.
Well, that's going off your definition, Darth. Were you paying
No,
attention?
stop. Listen, Tom. Listen.
I'm not an atheist.
You are
an atheist under my definition.
Listen,
okay.
this is what a scumbag you are. You don't know how to have an adult conversation.
I don't know how to be any more
either
clear.
you believe God does not exist. Okay, either you believe that there is no God, or you believe that the classical agnostic position that knowing God's existence or non-existence is unattainable. So which is it?
I'm a non-believer, Darth.
That's not an answer to the question. That's a completely deceptive evasion.
No, it's not. It's pretty clear.
Tom, are you going to defend that do you actually believe there is no God, Tom?
No, I don't have that positive belief. No.
Okay, then why have you been saying that you could defend atheism?
Right, because under your definition, you're my
No, it has nothing to do with my definition. We're talking about classical atheism. Can you actually defend that it is true that no God exists?
Under my definition, no. That's why I'm an agnostic.
So in other words, you were either guilty of colossal stupidity or deception, saying you could defend atheism.
The only thing I was guilty of is being charitable and adopting your definition.
No, you weren't being charitable.
Now
you're being deceptive.
And I'm still willing to
expose you for the liar that you are. You repeatedly said that you could defend atheism.
Yeah, sure, I can. Under your
Good.
definition.
So you actually believe there's no God?
No, because I don't use your definition.
So when you say you could defend it, you don't really believe it. You could defend that it's true there's no God, but you don't believe that, right?
I could defend atheism under your definition.
So you don't believe, so you do not believe the arguments for the falsity of God?
I don't believe the arguments for the falsity of God. I believe the arguments do go through if we're using your definition.
Do you believe in the accuracy and truthfulness of the arguments for the falsity of God?
Oh, Tangelo, you tell me what I need to say here because
okay, you know what? Mute his ass. Would the moderators mute him? We're done. We're done with this. Mute him. Please mute him. Okay. No. Hold on a second. Take it to another room, Tangelo. Listen to me. This guy is a lying swine. Okay. On the word he look. He's prevaricating. He's lying. Okay. I want to ask you a question. Let's see if you're obtuse or not, Tangelo. Do you realize how deceptive and deceitful he's being? Tangelo?
No.
Okay, then you're obtuse. Good. Go talk to him in another room. Okay?
Okay.
Because this is what this guy wants to do. Okay? He's been running away from defending atheism, okay, for a couple of years. And then when he's called on the carpet, then all of a sudden he shows up and he does the Tom Rabbit shtick. Right?
It's the Tom Rabbit hop.
Yeah, it's the Tom Rabbit hop and shtick. Okay, I played this game for several sessions. Okay, answered his questions, right? And then
That's
I
what
said, "Good.
he's playing the game.
Are
That's
you
what
going
he's
to
doing,
defend
playing the game.
atheism?" And what I mean by that is, please defend that it is true that you believe there's no God. He knows exactly. Okay, not a little kabuki dance where he's trying to get an Emmy award acting, defending like he's playing a lawyer on a TV show or a movie. Okay, but now he goes, "Oh, sure, I could defend atheism that there is no God." But he knows what I mean by that is that he actually believes it and will offer an argument that he believes in. So that's why I called for him to be muted, because I just exposed him as the fraud that he is. I said, do you believe that these arguments for the falsity of God are true? And do you notice he started to stutter and there was no answer? And the gears were turning in his head of what deception to say to avoid answering the question.
Well, when you have to phrase your questions so precisely just to yank a straight answer out of him,
It's amazing how you muted him so you could tell him what he was going to say. That's really childish.
So we're done. No, it's not. It's not why he was muted. He was muted because he is simply prevaricating. He's wasting our time. He's simply coming in here to do shtick so he can upload it to his channel. Okay,
Right,
so
not
he's
at
a
all
waste of time. He's a waste of time and he's a waste of flesh, because there's a unwritten rule of human a contract between human beings that when we speak to each other, we're going to be truthful, even if we vigorously disagree with each other. Okay, and you see, this is what is so common with the atheists. They don't give a rat's ass about being genuine, transparent, or truthful. They'll resort to duplicity, obfuscation, prevarication, verbal misdirection. And that's exactly what he was doing here today. Okay? Because this is just, a little gig for him. This is all shits and giggles for him.
Wait, Tom, will you talk to Otangelo in a different room?
Yeah.
Or are you just here for your
go to another room,
YouTube?
Otangelo, because I've had it with this guy.
Well, I invited him. He's not answering. So I suppose that you are right. He is just looking to have another, the opportunity to have another stream at his channel.
Of course.
If he would be honest, okay, he's answering. Let me check here.
Okay. Well, I don't want to hear his answer. We're done with him. You want to talk with him? Go to another room. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'll say it again and I'll be redundant. He's maintained for the longest time that he could defend atheism. Then when he was asked again here, he goes, "Well, I could argue for it." I said, "Oh, so you believe it?" You see, he pulled a shallow Shannon Q duck lips. Okay. He maintains he's an atheist for years. But now when he gets called on the carpet, I'm an agnostic. This is what Philippe Leon did in my interaction with him. This is what other atheists do, right?
Okay,
he goes, I could argue for it. The question is, hey, Otangelo, I guess you didn't get the memo.
Can I say something?
Okay, if you want to talk with Tom doing his little routine, go to another room, Otangelo.
Yes, but he has to be unmuted in order to have the private conversation.
Good, he can get unmuted by a mod when he goes to another room, because I don't want him shooting his mouth off. I've had it with his deceptiveness. Okay?
Tom said he was agnostic the first time you guys talked. He told you he was agnostic.
I know. What nice white knighting, sunshine.
What is it? How's it white knighting? It's a fact.
Okay, that's simply not true. Okay? Listen, little man, we're not going to play your little games here. What are you?
I'm an agnostic, but listen.
No, he said it the first time.
Okay, and how would you know? Were you there?
It's recorded, and I was there.
Were you there?
I was there, and it was recorded.
He's an atheist.
Yeah.
It's very clearly stated a bunch of times.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, is he DMing you, Otangelo?
This is a little game that they play. I could defend that. Okay, don't overtalk me.
Well, don't be wrong.
Okay, mute her, will you please?
There we go.
Can someone unmute him so I can have that private conversation with him? I don't know.
No, he's going to be unmuted after he leaves.
Big tough guy.
How can I have that private conversation with him?
Hey, Tom Locke. Excuse me, not Tom Locke. Otangelo, stop your whining. If he wants to talk with you, he'll go to another room and be unmuted. Okay? Now, there's the bottom line here is simply this. He goes, I could argue for atheism, but he doesn't believe, okay, that the arguments are true, sound, and valid. Because if he did, he wouldn't be an agnostic, would he?
Well, what he means by argue is just
What difference does that make?
Okay.
There's people who argue for stuff they're not convinced of all the time. Like, you don't have to be
Okay,
100%
good.
convinced.
Then your argument is just a kabuki dance.
There's people who aren't pro-choice who like will entertain, or who aren't pro-life who entertain.
Then it's a kabuki dance.
Or maybe
it's a performance. Then it's shtick. If you don't believe in it, then you don't. Hey, Ebby. Then you don't believe that the arguments are sound and valid.
Or it's just a debate.
All you're simply doing is when you say, "Oh, I could argue for it, but I don't believe it." All you're just simply telling us is you're doing an acting performance.
Every debate club on the planet puts people against each other who believe opposite from what they'll talk about.
Okay, then good. Then in the debate club, then if you're arguing for something you don't believe, then you're being disingenuous because then you don't actually believe that the arguments are sound and valid.
Like, are you gonna cry? Are you offended?
Okay.
But what difference does it
All right, hold
make?
on a second. Blackout, are you there? Okay. But this is the shtick that they do, okay? Is because they really cannot defend their atheism. They're just pathetically poor about it. They have to resort to any number of little tactics of obfuscation and misdirection. We saw all of the philosophers who had PhDs in the AMA. Every single one of them did the same thing. So we shouldn't be surprised that these professional academics who resort to these tactics, if we see that the uneducated atheists on Discord resort to the same disingenuous, deceitful tactics, okay? It's that simple. So now he's been proclaiming himself an atheist for years, but now, now I'm an agnostic. They have no shame. Anyway, I'm going to dinner. I'll probably be back on tonight. Okay. Auf Wiedersehen.
Later that same evening.
Were any of you there when I had another encounter with that imbecile Tom Rabbittt?
Yeah, I was there.
Did you hear the crap that he was trying to pull? That I'm advocating pluralism when I talk about a minimalist definition of God. I mean, what a load of horse hockey. Okay,
Yeah, obviously, sophistry, like you were saying, like you're just attempting to communicate with the atheist to make the conversation easily more digestible. That's all it's about.
I'm saying is, what is an agreed on basic definition of God so that we can proceed in the conversation?
And for him, that's the same as pluralism. That it doesn't get any more stupid than that.
Now, let me ask you this question, Tom.
Yeah.
Do you think for 1 minute that Tom Rabbittt is smart enough to come up with this type of quote? I'll use this term loosely, reasoning. Or he's a fresh graduate of the Jack Engstreich School of Sophistry.
Yeah, I honestly don't believe he came up with it on his own. But even a broken clock was right twice a day. So,
I don't believe that at all. He was coached.
Yeah,
he's coached.
But I do believe that he was coached. I don't think he came up with it on his own at all.
No, for years and years and years and years and years on Discord, he's just sat there like a bump on the log, making snide remarks. Okay.
I don't think he has the skills to put something like that together.
He pulled a Shannon Q duck lips. He goes, "I'm an agnostic."
Yeah, I could have sworn in his last conversation with you, he said he was an atheist.
Oh my gosh! And then I said, "Well, you told me you could defend atheism." He said, "I can." I go, "Good. Then why aren't you an atheist?"
Yeah, that's just.
I mean, talk about a clown show. It's too bad that Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus went out of business because he would have a place to do his clown show.
If you can defend it, that's the same thing as you saying that you claim that it's rational. And if it's rational, why not just adopt the rational position yourself?
Yeah,
he's a moron.
Yeah,
and that's too nice, but yeah, that's what he is.
He says over and over again, "I can defend atheism," and then I says, "Okay, good, okay, defend your atheism." "Oh, well, I'm an agnostic."
Yeah, he's just desperate for content. I can't think of any other reason why he would try to engage you with it again other than content, because he wasn't saying anything remotely anybody could take seriously.
Yeah, and you try to engage him like an adult, right? And you get him completely not focusing on what I'm saying and not even willing to have an interaction. He's simply just talking past me. I mean, it's ludicrous. It's simply ludicrous for him to accuse me of advocating pluralism. I mean, ludicrous.
Yeah. Tom Rabbittt is a total joke. He's a loser, and he's constantly having you live rent-free in his head. He has no life whatsoever. And as long as he's unrepentant and continually waging his war against God, he will always be a loser.
By the way, did you get that, Tom Rabbittt?